Hello everyone.
Hello, sir.
Okay. Uh, Alka. So rename you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So let we let us continue this session and mm, I share my screen with you first. So yesterday, okay, I run this. We have covered here up to here yesterday. Okay, with this mice. Yes, good evening, Nikita. We have covered this, but in the mice we have already some confusion, as you have seen yesterday, that we are getting 5 default options, and there may be few values may be right for few of the missing value observations, and few may not be appropriate. Got it? Or it is a random process. So random process is not a interpretable. Got it? What? It is not interpretable. I just wait a minute. Just see. Then go one pass me and okay. So this is not interpretable. Basically, when we use the random something, the random model is not much interpretable because there is iterations in that model, and then we find it out. One best way, what I feel, to filling the missing value is suppose I have a columns A, B, C, D, and E. Here I have some values, all values I am getting here. Here also I am getting some values. Here also getting all values. Okay. Here I am getting some missing value. And some other columns also I am getting some missing value here. I use some conventional approach Why I say it is a conventional approach? Because you could apply on it only when you learn all the algorithm of the machine learning. All means the linear regression, logistic regression, multinomial logistic regression. Then you could able to apply this, what I am going to tell you. After learning this linear regression, you would be able to use that thing. Before that, you are unable to understand what we are doing here. But I explain you, this approach is better, the best approach I feel. What I will do, I will remove all the missing observations from the data. Suppose I have a DF data, and there I have observations. Hypothetically, I am taking 1000 observations are there, and there are 218 missing values I have. Any. So I remove this, and I will get 782. And this would be my DF1 data set. Okay. First I remove it. I will give a new data name. And I will fix this column if there are few missing values I want to fill. And here I have removed these observations which were having the missing values. I removed it. I have the observation where all the values are there. And I will treat this as a target variable. And I train a model with C as a target variable. Other are the predictors. And I tune this model then. Okay, tuning is increasing the accuracy or the performance of the model. That is the process we use after creating a model, training a model, we tune it. And after that, I see the accuracy and everything, I improve it. Then I put this all variables input predictors in my model and find out this value. Got it? Are you agree with this? What are the missing value? I will put this all the small data set of missing values with that particular column. I get and I input that data set and I get the value of all missing places. Got it? What do you say?
Yes, sir.
So it will give me somehow very near value to actual what should be there. Okay. Understand? Because I am predicting here. I am making prediction through one model. And I fill this all value and then I will train the model later on. Final model. Is there any doubt?
Sir, like some.
Sir, what is tuning, sir? You have mentioned, right? Tuning.
First, we prepare a model in a simple way. Then we tune the model for improving the accuracy of the model. That is the tuning. Understand?
So what we have done here is tuning.
First, we train the model, then we tune it. So we will increase the efficiency of the model. Then we put this data in the model. After tuning, we get the perfect model. No? After tune it.
Okay, sir, I understood.
Okay, we will learn here the tuning later on. Could better understand with the practical. Okay. So this is a better way. This is for the numeric. Suppose we have somewhere the categorical also. The categorical we will use the multinomial logistic regression, and we could fill that value for the categorical one. Understand? Got
Sir,
it?
hello.
Yes.
Sir, in case of tuning model, as you said that we'll feed the data. But sir, in missing place, how we'll feed the data there?
No, tuning is not that thing. We have trained the data for, with this data set.
Okay.
No, 782. We have removed the missing values. And after making a model, you tune it. You remove some columns which are not essential in your data.
Okay.
Now, few columns which are not significant, which are not making significant impact on your target variable.
Okay. So complete entire row and columns will remove that. Or only
We
missing
remove
part?
that. Suppose E is not making a significant impact on this C.
Okay.
So we'll remove this E from when we tune the model.
Okay. Okay.
Understand?
Sir?
That is a tuning. Yes.
Or is this similar to what we did in R1 on that Excel sheet, modifying the data?
Yes, yes.
Is it that only?
It is that one.
Okay. Sir.
Got it?
Yes, sir.
We keep only the variables. We have some significant impact on your target variable. Got it? We remove the variables which are not making significant impact on your target variable. They are useless for us. They are not making the significant impact on your this target variable. Got it?
Yes, sir.
So those variables we remove. That is called a tuning of the model. We said some feature engineer, feature selection, and these all things.
In previous class, you have mentioned about amount funded by investors, right?
Yeah.
We have removed it because it's not.
That was not useful. That was in the
that
prime.
is called tuning.
No, that is not a tuning. That is a feature selection at that moment.
Okay.
We will tune the model later on. When we train the model, when we start the training the model, after that we see the summary of that model and we see the which variable is making significant impact or which is not making the significant impact. We check over there after training the model. Understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then we remove that variable which is not making a significant impact. Got it? We'll see is in the practical. For the missing value, I feel this technique is better.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, if we want to use mean method for imputing this, then how it can be done? I mean, just taking a mean of that particular target variable and we can substitute that value.
Yeah.
Acha. So the yesterday whatever imputation procedure you showed, that doesn't include mean approach.
No.
Okay.
It doesn't, because mice doesn't approach the mean. Okay. There is a different algorithm they have used in that package and that is not much reliable. Mice.
Okay.
The what approach I told you earlier just now, that is the best one practice. Okay. This is in this sort of cases. Suppose you have a time series analysis, time series data. In the time series data, you have some missing values. That is a chronological always. Got it? Are you getting it? So how do you feel that missing value in a time series analysis? Suppose you have time series analysis like this. You have a data 1992, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, and 2020. And you have the values here some. But you have here the missing value. How you feel it?
Looking at the trend and its mean value.
No. There is a simple way. You make a time series analysis up to here.
Okay.
Got it? And then forecast for the next period. Next point.
Oh. Okay.
Got it?
Okay. Understood.
And put that value here. It would be perfect value.
Okay. Okay. Right, sir.
So this is a way to, this is the conventional approach. What I feel. I have not read anywhere this all thing.
Okay. Okay.
And it is through the thinking and everything, what should be there. So when I used this sort of approach, I got very good forecasting. What
Yeah.
with the unknown data. With the
Right.
unknown data set, I have got very good. Also in that missing value imputation, I have got the good thing in the some other algorithm also. So
Right.
it takes a long time. We have to prepare one model, then tune it, then feed the value, then again finally we have to train the model. Okay, so it take much time, but thing is perfect now.
So it is like regressing that variable with respect to other independent variables.
Yeah.
Right.
Now we see some more things. Up to here we have completed. We are taking that, we are considering that. Okay. Now I will show you the histogram of the amount requested. What does it tell you? This histogram, what you are getting?
Data is not normal, sir.
Correct. So it is positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative is good. Anyone else?
Positively skewed.
Sir, positive is good.
Positive is good, it is. Okay.
Okay.
Just a moment. It is positive skewed. Okay. So we will see is there any outliers or not. Okay. Now we have to treatment the outliers. So I will make a box plot if it is skewed. So I'm getting some outliers here. And the positive skewed, you will always get the outlier on the right hand side. Got it? I will explain how. The positive skewed data is like this. Okay. Or you will get the outliers here. This is our positive skew. Got it? If you turn it clockwise direction, you will get this way. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Now, I also see the skewness of this. When we do this sort of analysis, we have to see so many things like we are watching first we have seen the histogram, then box plot. Now we are seeing one more statistics, skewness. Okay. What is the skewness here? 0.93. Positive skewed, highly positive skewed. Now, when we get this skewed data, then we have to find the upper limit of outlier. Okay, or this amount requested. So first I will see the quantile, or we have the formula for this. I will write that formula again here. Formula for upper limit of outlier Q3 plus 1.5 into Q3 minus Q1. It means IQR. Got it? Any doubt?
Yes, sir.
So this formula I will apply. For that I have the requirement of Q3 and Q1. Got it? So I will use a quantile function to find out the Q3 and Q1. So Q1 is 25% and Q3 is the 75%. Got it?
Yes, sir.
So I am finding out the outlier of AR. AR means the amount requested and upper limit. Upper limit amount requested 17,000 Q3 plus 1.5 into Q3 minus Q1. Got it? Any doubt here? No doubt. Now we run it. And we are getting this value 33,500. What is the value here? 33,500. Or we have the maximum value 35,000. Means there are some outliers. There is a gap between 33,500 and the 35,000. Got it? So we see how many outliers are there, how many values are greater than our upper limit. So I just ask the sum LD underscore trend dollar amount requested greater than ULAR. I will see there are 46 values which are outliers. Got it? Any doubt? Now I will impute these values. What we do for outlier? What is the process we follow? What treatment we use for the outliers?
Removing it, sir.
Hmm?
Removing the outlier.
Removing the outlier observations first. We are not removing here. We are imputing some value. So we have two options. What we will impute here?
Caping, huh? Caping.
Correct. Capping, correct. We'll capping it. Capping means whichever value is greater than outlier, we'll put the value of outlier. It means we will put there 33,500. Whatever is greater than 33,500, we put there. So I am using the $10 amount requested column. What I am going to do here, if else, in this column, the value which is greater than this upper limit should convert in upper limit, will be imputed by upper limit, and the other value will remain same. So I am writing again this thing. Okay. Any doubt? Which are the value is greater than this would be this, and which are not greater than this or equal to this, then they will be same as it is in the that column. Whatever the value, it will be same. It will not change. Correct? So I will do it. Now I will show you the box plot first. You see, this is the box plot we have. There are some outlier it is showing. Now I will show you the box plot again. You see, is there any outlier now? No outlier. Okay. And I see the skewness now. It is a little bit managed. Previously it was 0.93. Now it is 0.87. Correct. And now we see the quantile. It will not change. It will. Mean will not change. Third quartile will not change. First quartile will not change. But the maximum value will change. It was 35,000 at that moment. Something. You see. Now it is 33,500 because we have changed all the value. But median, first quartile and third quartile do not affect. Now we see how many outliers. So there is no outlier. Now it is 0. What it? When you perform this, once you check it also, as I have checked. Okay. Now we come to another interest rate. That is also a numeric. We are doing this for the numeric only. Okay. So I do for this. I see this is histogram I am getting. And I see the box plot for this. So I'm also getting here some outliers. And I see the skewness first. So skewness is 0.30. What do you say? It is skewed. If you see this graph, it is skewed or normal?
Normal.
Normal, correct? It is normal. It is not skewed. Or skewness is between minus 0.5 and 0.5, then it is normal. It is assumed normal, almost normal. Okay. So skewness is 0.30. It means it is normal. Got it? Now we have a different formula for that, for a normal data.
Sir, one question.
Yes.
What is the value for positively and negatively skewed, the range?
Basically, the normal range we see for the skewness, not for the normal distribution, for the skewness, -1 to +1.
Okay.
When it is greater than that, then we have to control it. We rescaling it. We take the log scale. We take the square root distribution, convert them
No,
in.
I mean for positively skewed, it was 0.93 something, right?
That's
So,
okay. That's okay. No problem.
I mean, is there a range for positive and negative skewness? I'm asking.
-1 to +1, basically.
Okay.
If it is greater than that, if you have the skewness is 5, then you have to rescale it.
Okay.
Rescale means you have to change the scale.
But like you said, na, -0.5 to +0.5 is normal.
It is for the normal. There is the two things. There is two things. There is two.
Then,
you understand.
Anything more than 0.5 to +1 is, can we say it is positively skewed?
Yeah.
And anything less than -0.5 to -1 is negatively skewed.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah.
Got it? But sometimes we get the skewness greater than 1.
Yeah.
Then we have to change the scale.
Okay.
Rescale the variable for controlling that. We have to control it. Then we could prepare the model. Okay. So rescaling is a different thing. We'll see it later.
And which scales to take, you will also tell us that, no, sir?
Yeah. There are various scales. There are various
scales. With data, which what kind of data we should take, what kind of scales?
Yeah. That's very important. I will explain you that later on. Okay. I just see admit. I will see Hassani is not there. No? So here we use for this normal data, we use a different formula. Or in the normal data, we could get the both limit, the upper limit and the lower limit. But here we have seen it is on the upper side only. For the upper limit, we use the formula mean plus 3 into standard deviation. Got it? If it is lower side, then we just change the sign. Instead of plus, we put the minus. Got it? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So now we have to check whether there is outliers or not first. Okay. But box plot will not show you the outliers for the normal data. It is a normal. Okay, it is showing box plot always show you the outliers in a point form for a skewed data. Okay, so we could not rely on the box plot for this. Got it? So we had to check it by the formula. So as I show you that if I make a box plot, so you are getting here some outliers, or it is the normal data. So this outlier is not may not be there. If we actually check it. So I use this formula mean of this plus 3 into standard deviation of this. Okay, amount requested. Oh, I am using the amount requested. No, we are using the interest rate. Sorry. I have changed
Sir,
it.
if in interest rate we saw that there were no outliers, then how are we getting 2-3 outliers in the in this plot?
Where we have not checked up to the outlier in the interest rate. We are going to check it.
Okay.
We are going to check it.
We checked the skewness.
We have checked the skewness. It is a normally distributed.
Yes, sir.
We have not checked the outlier. We are going to check the outlier. First, we set the limit for the upper side. It is showing me the outlier, but it may not be there because the box plot always shows for the skewed data, this outlier.
Yes, sir.
Not for the normal data. Okay,
Yes.
but in spite of that, we see whether there is some outlier or not. So,
Sir, 1 minute. Can you show me that formula for removing the outlier? 1 second.
which one?
Formula you have shown, right? You have written mean plus
3 into standard deviation.
But in the code you have used, you have put mean of LD underscore train interest rate plus you have included and you have calculated mean, I think.
Yeah, we have calculated mean here. Okay, just a moment.
You check the code, sir.
Yes. I got it. What you are telling. Okay, nice. Got it? It's correct now.
Yeah, okay, sir.
Okay. Are we getting this value 25.42? For this, I would like to see the summary. Okay. Summary for LD. Sorry. Underscore trend. Dollar interest rate. Okay.
So summary spelling is not right.
Okay. I'm getting this summary. Okay. Got it?
Yes,
You
sir.
see Outlier is 20, outlier limit is 20.5, 25.42, and our maximum value is 24.89. It means there is no outliers. Outlier is greater than our maximum value. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Or if I see how many outliers, it will give me the 0, because no value is greater than that. Understand?
Sir, is this formula used to remove the outliers or to check the outliers?
Check the outlier. For removing, we are imputing this formula we are using for imputation.
Okay.
But
Oh,
there
okay.
is no outlier, so we are not using this formula. Understand?
Yeah.
Got it? So
we don't rely on box plot for normal distribution always.
yes,
right?
yes. We don't rely on the box plot for normal distribution outliers. Okay. Now we see the histogram of the debt to income ratio. It's normal, perfect. If I see the box plot, there is no outlier. It is perfect normal, so it is not showing me near about. Okay. And we see the monthly income. Oh, there are so many outliers. There are so many outliers. Oh, it is highly skewed, more than one. 4.42 skewness is there. Look at this. Got it? Skewness you see 4.42, too high. What I will do, I am taking the log scale. I could take the square root. I could take the cube root scale. I'm using the log scale. Okay. For that, I just run it. And I again see the skewness. What do you say now? If I show you the box plot, if I show you the histogram, got it? We have used the log scale. We have changed the scale because the outlier was more than 1. Okay. Why we are using log? If I use the square root, see what happens? For that, I have to again run the whole process because I have converted that variable in just a moment. Some Hello. Yes. Am I audible to you all? Yes. Yes, sir. So,
Yes, sir.
if you see in the value in the monthly income, so first we check this. Some value is equal to 0, or we not only this, we check this. If none of the value is less than equal to 0, then we apply the log function. Log is control heavily the skewness. As you have seen, we have controlled the skewness very heavily. We have got the skewness only 0.09. It is almost normal function now. Or previously it was highly skewed, 4.42. So if I use the square root function, I see how could I control it. So for that, I have to again run whole the process. So I'm not doing that. You do it yourself. Okay. And you see how much it control the skewness. Got it? Square root function, then cube root function. And I will explain you later on the so many things. Okay. So now you understand where we are using the log function, where we could apply. If there is a 0, then the log function could not apply. The less than 0, we could not apply the log function. We have to use some other technique. Is it clear to all?
Yes, sir.
Sir, if outlier would have been on negative scale, then what could have been the transformation?
Square root, square function, sorry.
Acha.
We could
Okay.
use the square root and the square function over there.
But again, I mean the variable value will shoot up with square. I mean the positive value will shoot up. Negative value come to the positive side.
Yes.
But whatever positive already are there, they will shoot up uh, 2 times. I mean.
Square root function we generally use for that.
Okay. Square root function.
Square root function we use for that. Not the square root, cube root.
But
Cube
sir,
root will not use. Yeah.
if the value is close to 0, like sometimes I was recently I was working on the data for some data set, and the values were around 0.23, 0.23. So what I understand is that I can't take a log of that because because after taking log, because it was almost close to 0, the values became negative.
Yeah.
So it becomes, I mean, I couldn't do that. So just one thing I'm just thinking, anyway, I just did a linear model because that was good for my, as per literature, I mean, the literature said that even if you run a linear model in this case, it's okay. I didn't do any transformations because that was the dependent variable. But in case if it is 0.23, let's say, does this technique work that I add +1 to the whole data if the whole series is
that is also one option.
Okay.
That is because we have a after completing in this data preparation, we have that process also. I will tell you later on this all thing +1, and in this way we could add on it.
Yeah, because I mean, because it's a crucial variable, it's a dependent variable in my case. So I can't completely avoid it. And independent are all can be taken logs, but then I don't want to run log model, linear log.
Yes.
So I generally, because it's difficult in interpretation, no later.
We add +1, and in this way We also
Okay.
do this thing in the some other scale also.
Okay.
The
So
same
plus
thing
one
is
is a possibility. No, I was just thinking. I mean, I
possibility.
didn't do.
It is practicable.
Yeah, I
Don't
didn't
worry.
do it. Now
No,
that
no.
you're
It is
telling.
everywhere. If you search on the internet, you will get this thing also.
Okay. Now you're telling, so I was reminded of it, but I didn't do it. But
Yeah,
it's
right.
possible. Okay.
Correct. So you got it. Why we have changed the scale? We have controlled the skewness. Now I will find out there are both sides. We are here itself. We are seeing that there is a we have outliers both the sides. Okay. So we are find out the upper limit and the lower limit both. Okay. So we see this is for the upper limit. We are getting for the monthly income 10.07, and we see the what is the maximum in the monthly income now. It is greater than this, so there are some outliers. Okay. Similarly, I see in the lower side, and I see the minimum is this one, and our here you see 6.9 towards 6.37, which is lower than this. So there is also outliers. We have the outliers both the places, or we could see how many outliers are there. So here I will just see some LD dollar, sorry, 10 MD $10 monthly income greater than UL underscore MI. There are 6 outliers, and here we also see some LD underscore $10 monthly income smaller than ILL lower limit of monthly income. Say we are getting the 7 outliers. Got it? Now we are imputing these outliers for the if else LD trend monthly income is smaller than lower limit, then it should be lower limit, and otherwise it would be as it is. First we do this, then we see for the upper, and we run both. Now I will show you how many outliers are there. There is no outlier now. Got it? Any doubt? Now I will show you that box plot again. Oh, where is that monthly income? It will show because it is a normal. It is not a that way. And histogram, if I show, you could see it better. There is no outlier. Previously, if I show you that histogram, then there was outliers. Now it is not there. Got it? So this we have done. And next, we see the revolving credit balance. So this is our revolving credit balance. Oh, it is highly skewed. I show you the box plot. I see the skewness is, I think, the 5.54. And what should I do here? I have not changed the scale. First, we have to see which LD underscore $10 revolving credit balance is. I just say that equal to 0 because there is a no negative value. I think that So many are equal to 0. Index 103, index, these are the indexes we are getting 103, 130. If you see there, this is a 0. I will show you. LD underscore trend dollar revolving, which 103 I will show you. 103. See it is 0. So these are zeros. They are 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. I think that. Now, what should I do here? What should I do here?
Flooring.
No, flaring is the last option. We have to control this skewness first. Log we could not take because the zeros are there. I will take the square root. See how does it control. I take it independent and I am not using it in data frame at this moment. So I am just making new RC revolving credit will RCB new independent. I will see over there. And in RCB, I am using the square root LD dollar trend. Sorry, not dollar trend, ND underscore trend. Not LD. Why I'm getting it? And dollar. And it is the revolving. Get it. Correct. Wait. But I see the skewness of RCB. It is controlled 1.47 from 5.54. Okay. Control, too much control. You could not control more than that. Okay. I could take the fourth root also.
So cube root we can take cube root.
No, it is negative. There is 0. We could take the cube root also. I don't know the function, whether it is work or not. So find the function, could not find the function cube root. So
Sir, can we put star and 1/3?
we could add that also. But or that we could do this also. Okay. This same. You could put the star also and this also. Run it. I see the skewness. Correct. Got it? It is now in control. And we see the histogram now. And we see the box plot. We are getting. No, this is for our LD. We have not Mac for this. RCB we have to see it for the RCB. So RCB we see the histogram. So always do the independent and you check it. And
So
then
why
you,
are we making an independent variable for this one? Why not
because,
straight away put
okay, I will explain you that, Ishita. The reason is that if I convert them in a data frame, then if I want to change, instead of cube root, square root, I am taking the cube root, na? You see? Okay.
yes, sir.
So then I have to run the whole script again.
Okay, sir. Got it.
Got it?
Yes, sir.
So I am just checking here. Then I will put there the original one name.
Okay.
So always use in the independent, then you apply. Correct? You see, there is some skewness on the right side. Correct? And we see the box plot. Skewness is 0.34, which is positive, which is normal basically now. We have to use the formula for the normal. And I will show you the box plot also. And RCB. And this is the box plot. In the box plot, it is showing me both the side. Okay. Got it? Understand? Now, I have controlled it. It is a skewness 0.34 with the cube root function, which I used. And now I find out the upper limit of this. So UL, first I have to change here. Now I have to write that LD underscore trend dollar revolving credit. Correct? And no need this. Okay. And I could check here now. Okay, getting the same. Don't worry. 0.34. Now I make it. UL revolving credit RC. And I will use the mean formula. Mean of LD underscore trend dollar revolving. Okay, and then I will add 3 into and as D of LD underscore trend dollar revolve. Got it? So I will get this value. This is the 46.02. And I will see how many are there. So sum and LD underscore and dollar revolving is greater than UL underscore RC. There are 90. Got it? And we fill it LD underscore trend dollar revolving if else LD underscore trend dollar revolving is greater than UL underscore RC should be UL underscore RC, otherwise LD underscore trend dollar revolving. Got it? I run it. Now I see how many outlets. There is no. I will check the lower side also. It is mentioning, but it won't be there. I know that. But in spite of that, why we should take the risk? So I just check it. This is, and I will see the sum. Oh, minus. We will not get any value. Not get any value. Because our limit is very, very low. Yeah, negative. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Pre-processing is a very lengthy. Positive skew. And we are taking it. And I see the 732 plus 1.5, 732 minus 682. Okay. No need to explain. I will do it. And I will see how many are there. 9 is there. So I'm controlling it. And I will see it. So the skewness reduces little bit. Okay. And I will again see how many are now. So there is nothing. So this we have finished. Now we see the structure. Got it? Now we have to start the fitting this model. And today I will show you little bit few steps we will run today. Tomorrow there are so many lengthy script remain. Now we have completed only 40-45% up to now. We have to complete this one. 60% remains. So model fitting we start, and there is a function for linear model LM function for the linear model. In dependent variable or the target variable, we have to put first tilde dot. Dot means the remaining variables, whatever the remaining variables except this, all are independent. Got it? Correct?
So dot minus ID means excluding the ID variable.
Excluding the ID. We don't require the ID in our training model. So we remove the ID only for the training model from the training data set. Understand? We don't remove the ID from the data set. We are not including that ID in our during training the model. Got it?
Yes, sir.
We have to keep that in our data set. That is compulsory. So we are just removing when we put the minus sign after dot without any comma. That column will not be included in training. So ID will not be included in training. And after comma, we will write the data name by which we are going to train the model. Got it? We run this. I have run it. It is the, you see here, fit. I will show you here also few things. Look at here. Here, there's so many things, the coefficients and the residuals and these attributes. I have to clear this first. Okay, so there is something. This portion I don't want. Character 1:3. An action. Omit named 1:3. So there is something. These NS. We have some NS. We have to omit these all NS. Okay. There are somewhere we have NS. So it is showing me. So what I do, I omit the NA values. Whatever the NA values are there, here I am omit, but you could give some imputation over there. But I am there are very few values are there. So I do LD score trend. You see how many we have in trend? 1747. I will omit 1747. So now I see the structure. See what happens. Hey, still it is giving me. That will create some. Okay. Okay, there is no effect of this, and we are having some NA values. Yeah, where we have seen the NA values here or LD trend data? Yeah, LD trend data, I think there is no NA values. In the LD trend, there is no NA values. We have seen over there in the LD. We have given the treatment to all NA values, so there is no NA values. Correct. Okay, we see. It may be some. No problem. It will work. It will not disturb us, I think. And okay, I'll show you. this plot will show different characteristics of our model. Because we have not tuned the model at this present. First we create the model, then I will show you this plot again. I have just put this function here to check it something, but we see first the summary and I will see it. First you check the summary and here you will see these are the formula we have written and these are the residuals. Residuals is very important. I explained you earlier. It is the minimum, first quartile, median, third quartile, and the maximum residual. And these are the intercept, which is the beta 0, as I explained you in the PPT, beta 0. And this is their value, beta 0 value. Okay. And this is the amount requested is our X1. And its beta 1 is this. And it is the beta 2. This one is beta 3, beta 4, beta 5. In this way, we are getting this. Got it? So we have how many variables we are getting that much beta with intercept. But here we see which variable is making a significant impact on a target variable, accumulative. So this variable is making, intercept will always make, no problem. Amount requested is a significant impact it is making. Debt to income ratio is not making a significant impact because the P value is greater than 0.05. Understand? These are the P values. So wherever the P value is greater than 0.05, it is not making a significant impact on your target variable. This variable is not significant for your model. So there are some other variables also which are not making a significant impact. So first we control the variables through VIF, variance inflation factor. I have explained you. It is 1 over 1 minus I have, that is over the R square. This is the variance inflation factor, 1 over 1 minus R square. So this is the function only. This is the model name I have given the fit. So first I will, that VIF function is from the CAL library. We have to run this library when I have to use that this VIF function. And if I just run up to this, you will get, it will give me the VIF of all the variables, variance inflation factor. These are under control. This is not, this is not, this is not, this is more than 5. More than 5 are not giving us the new information. So we have to remove one by one. The highest VIF first we have to remove, then second, then. So what I am doing, I am sorting the VIF value. Decreasing it is equal to true means the highest first, then later, and I am just taking the 3 top VIF. Okay. So these are the 3 top. So the topmost, I will remove this variable from my model. I will not include this house mortgage. So what I will do, I will just write here minus house mortgage, but I am using the separate syntax again because I have to explain you. But when you train the model, you just write here minus and HW, or copy paste that from here, copy and just paste here. So the spelling or the, it not be, or there should not be any comma. Got it? So that in the same syntax you do that thing. But I am, because I have to explain, so I am using copy paste and then I am doing this. Got it? And I run it. And then I again sort that VIF. So now you see the VIF is now in my control. Only removing one. Got it?
Yes, sir.
So now VIF is my control. Now I will see the summary again. Summary fit. I will see how many remains there with higher p-value. So here is a 0.62 with the debt to income ratio I have, and then I have 0.28, 0.67. Okay, house ownership. So 0.67 is the highest, you see. Okay. So I will remove this house ownership from the model. Got it? Any doubt?
Yes, sir.
So here I will write, I will see again the value, which one is greater. So it is 0.62 or it is 0.67. So house ownership I have to remove. So I will write the house ownership. I copy this and I will write here. And again, I will see the summary. Now I have this one and this one. So 0.61 is the debt to income ratio. Copy this. Sorry. And here it's okay. It is the debt income ratio and the house ownership. Sequence doesn't keep me. No need. So I just run this. Okay. And I see the summary now. Now this emerge new one. Okay. So it is what? It is house rent. So I will also remove the house rent. Okay. This you see here, house rent. Sorry, I remove it and I get the summary now. And I get it is now in control. It is little bit more than 0.05. If you want to consider, you could consider this. It is not much difference. 0.09 and 0.07. It is just little bit greater than 0.05. If you want to consider, you consider these variables. If you don't want to consider, you don't consider this. Wherever the asterisk and the dot, we have to consider it mostly. The asterisk we have to consider, dot depends on you. Whether you want to consider it or you don't want to consider it. Got it?
Sir, one doubt.
Yes.
First, you have removed variables depend on VIF, right?
Yes, yes.
Then probability, p-value.
Yes.
So can we do from first p-value, then VIF, or we have to follow?
That is a sequence. We have to follow this step.
VIF,
We
then
follow,
P.
we follow 3 steps. One VIF, second AIC, and third p-value. So AIC I have not included here because we have very few variables. If we have more variables, 45, 35 variables, 100, 90 variables, then we could not remove. If we remove one by one, it will take very long time. So we use some other criteria to remove it. So first we use the VIF, then AIC, and then we use the P. Some automation we require there. So the which remove the variable automatically. That is the AIC. Again, that criterion we are using. Okay. So I will explain to that also. In the logistic regression, we have that. I have applied that step method. Okay, because here we have very few variables, so we have not applied that. And there I will explain you what is the importance of that also. Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Now we see the formula. So this is the formula we are getting. Interest rate is our Y tilde ID. It will show all up to here. Then what we have removed, it will show here. This we have omitted. Okay. Got it?
Yes, sir.
And tomorrow we see some more thing. Okay. This we have trained the model, but we have not tuned the model. We will tune the model tomorrow. Okay. Clear? Tuning remains. So what is tuning? You will see tomorrow. I have shown you little bit. These are the parameters by which we tune the model. These all sort of graphs, 4 graphs, by which by watching this we decide what we have to do, how we could tune it. So these all things I will explain you tomorrow. Okay. All figures have a different interpretation. Residuals versus fitted, first one. Second, you will see the QQ norm. Third, you will see the standardized residual square root of and the scale location. And fourth one is a residuals versus leverage. So it shows us some outliers, complete outliers in our data. This outlier, this outlier, this outlier. These observations are the outliers in our data. 1587, 863, and 1485. These are the outliers in our data. 1587 and this all. So whether we have to remove this and then we again retain the model. Got it? So this sort of thing is called the tuning. Here also we see in the first graph. You see here, this is our residual, 0. And this is our fitted values, the trend of our fitted values of the model. These are some outliers also there. And this, our model fitted value is not a straight line, is red one. It is just like a parabolic curve. Getting it? And for tuning the model, we should have a good knowledge of the different sort of functions of the mathematics. The logarithmic function, square root function, square function, their graphical pattern we should know at least. So by which function we could apply and we could control it. So here it is a parabolic function. So I will apply the square of some variable. I will consider the square of some variable. But on which variable I will take the value as a square? That is a problem. There are many variables in my model. I have to square one of the variable which will control, which will state this line. If I take the square of one variable, one specific variable, the red line would be straight. There we have to use our one by one. We use on the one variable, then second variable, then third variable. It's a lengthy process. Then we could tune the model. Tuning is not a small thing. It's a very, very, we could say the precious. It takes much time. So tuning is model takes long time. So we'll see tomorrow how to tune the model. First, I will show you the prediction with this model, what we have created now. And I will show you the test this model with our test data. And then we retune the model, and then we again see the accuracy and everything of the model. then you will get yo. It's big difference in that. Okay.
Sir, I have two questions.
Yes.
One is related to this residual versus fitted plot, where for particular those outliers, it is showing some points.
Yes.
0.81. So what are those?
These are the indexing in the model. I will we could search it out and we could remove it because their ID we are not including there na model.
Yeah, that is why I am asking, because
So it is the general indexing.
okay, to identify which are
Yes.
those points, right?
Yeah.
And second question would be, since you excluded three dummy variables like HW mod, HW,
Mortgage, home mortgage and home rent.
yeah.
Yeah.
So those were getting excluded because of high VFI, right?
High P value we have.
So high VFI means they have higher multicollinearity within
No,
it.
high BFI we have removed some other variable na. Okay, the mortgage we have removed. Only one variable we have removed with the high VIF.
Acha. Okay.
Then with the P value we have removed this home mortgage and the home this. High VIF I just see which we have removed with the high VIF. Home mortgage we have removed with the high VIF. Correct.
Right, na?
Yes,
But
yes.
sir, those are the I mean the categorical variables, right?
Yes.
So how there is a multicollinearity within each other? I mean, those are only 1-0 values.
Yes.
So in dummy variable also there can exist multicollinearity.
It is the accumulative effect of that, no? Not the single one.
Okay.
Accumulative of the all variables with not of a single variable. It is the aggregate. We could say the impact. So we are removing it. Not only for the house mortgages core, we could not getting out the biserial correlation over there.
Okay. So it is not necessary that only numerical variables can create multicollinearity. Even a dummy variable can create a multicollinearity.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Because it's the accumulative impact on that, no? Not the single one, not only of this. As you have seen in the when we have removed only this one, other also we had at that moment. 3 we had na higher value VIF more than we have the house mortgage 147 house rent and the house ownership.
Right.
3 were the high VIF and one we have removed automatically to got the control.
Right.
Okay, so that is the thing. It is the accumulative impact of all the variables, not the single one.
Sir,
Okay.
what is the multicollinearity?
Okay, I have not explained it, no? Yes. So tomorrow I will explain it about the multicollinear homosexuality, everything. Okay, I skipped it. It is in our PPT. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Can you once show how to upload the R script in the R Studio?
R script in R Studio.
And the files that you had sent, I'm not able to do that.
Okay. I just.
Have you sent these files? I don't know. I have not got any email.
Oh! I will send you. You have shared your. You have what?
Yeah. I
Fill
have
that
given-
form later on, na?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have not received any mail.
Okay. I will attach it today. Na?
Okay.
I will attach it today.
So have you attached yesterday's class also?
No, yesterday I have not attached the material. Today I will attach it.
Okay.
Tomorrow you will get the both days material.
Okay, sir.
Okay. And what you were asking? Okay. I just share the screen. How to upload the R script, na?
Yes, sir.
Correct. So one thing you could do, you could open folder.
Okay.
Getting here?
Yes.
And wherever your script, if you see this is the .r. Okay. It is the extension.
Okay.
I just click here, D tree with R. You will see. I have got this D tree with R here.
But sir, I'm not able to like download it at all from the mail. So I don't know how
Okay,
to.
you are downloading the folder.
The file.
The file should be downloaded or
No, it does not work. I don't know why.
okay. So I
Just
asked
check
two other
your,
fellows, are you getting?
Sometimes, sir, your Gmail or Drive is full, na, then we can't download. That's also last time I was not able to download, remember?
Okay.
That time my Gmail was full and Drive was full. So sometimes because it's a Drive share folder, Drive should be.
Yeah. So you see your drive is full or not?
No, sir, and this is like just for other work. So this is mostly empty. I haven't.
So you have the Gmail account, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Browser settings maybe.
Maybe there is a problem with the
Cookies or
browser
something.
setting. Yeah.
Okay, sir. I'll try, and if it doesn't work, then I'll
No,
ask.
you search on the net the reason
Okay, sir.
why it is. Then we see. Then we send you by the mail also.
Okay, sir.
First
Thank
you
you.
try it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Someone else any question? Okay. So we finish it now. Tomorrow we meet at 7:15. Okay. Thanks everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.